This is an ad for Barbara Kirkmeyer. She's running for Congress in Colorado.
Mob has taken over Washington, and we know the results. Crime up, inflation skyrocketing, and a country without a border. It's time to fight back. And lucky for us, we have a conservative we can count on, Barb Kirkmeyer. The liberals came for our guns. She fought back, made Weld County a Second Amendment sanctuary. They tried to defund the police. She stood up and protected law enforcement. And she's always stood rock solid for life. Barb Kirkmeyer, the conservative we can count on, because she fights back and wins.
So Barbara Kirkmeyer, she has a YouTube account. She is the Republican nominee. Yadira Caraveo is the Democrat nominee. They're running against Richard Ward, Steve Zorn, and Tim Long. Let's take another look at a different video. Barbara Kirkmeyer speaks after winning the GOP primary for the new U.S. House seat.
Kind of a whirlwind. You know, we were doing really good, and then all of a sudden Nancy Pelosi thought she should get herself into this race. And so we just beat Nancy Pelosi as far as right? That was good. You know what? We sent her a really strong message. Don't meddle in our primaries in Colorado. You've got it all wrong back in Washington, and we don't need you here in Colorado. So that was good. So, and I do just want to say, with all of the outside spending that was in this race, that, you know, it wasn't fair to any of the candidates in the race. There were four of us. And we all worked really hard, and I would say directly to Jan Coleman, to Lori Sane, and to Tyler Elkhorn, and to Jules Gray, who was in this race as well, that I really but anyways, there are a bunch of folks that helped me out. Like I said, I had a lot of volunteers. A lot of you are in the room here tonight.
All right, so I'm trying to figure out what your policies are going to be. Let's see. Barbara Kirkmeyer sits down with the CBS 4 morning anchors. Let's see what she's got to say to these.
Branded as a hot race to watch across the country this November. Joining us now is State Senator Barbara Kirkmeyer. She won a GOP primary race in the new 8th Congressional District. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning.
Yes,
great
good
to be
morning.
Here.
Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so first we want to let people know where this new district is, because it is new. It stretches from Thornton to Greeley along the I-25 corridor in many of our booming suburbs. So it's a growing area.
Yeah, it's actually like the first new congressional district we've seen in a few decades. So what are some of the advantages of taking on a challenge like that, and also maybe the challenges of doing that?
I think it's wonderful that they've carved this district out of Adams and Weld County, and it actually goes up the 85 corridor as well. So there's a lot of agriculture in the district, especially along that 85 corridor. But I think people are excited because they feel like, okay, great, you know, we're that important. We're going to get a new district, and we're going to have people who live close to us here.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, you're Republican. Your
Yes.
opponent, Representative Yadira Caraveo, she is Democrat. How are you going to attract the moderate and unaffiliated voters in that area?
You know, I think it's the same thing that I've been doing even in all my other races that I've been in. I was a county commissioner for 20 years, won 5 different elections in that race, and now currently sit as a state senator. But, you know, I do a lot of door-to-door and go out and talk to people and get to know the communities, and very familiar with Weld County, and it's Adams County that I've been concentrating on. But when I go to the door, the issues are still the same. Whether it's Democrats, Republicans, or unaffiliates, it's about the inflation. It's about, I mean, the number one issue I get is how much it's costing me to put gas in my tank, right? And then it's also about the securing the border. Education's a huge issue. So those issues are important to all of us, regardless of what affiliation anyone has.
A lot of Latino voters up there. How do you reach out to that demographic, one that's going to be very important across the country come November?
Again, you know, folks are saying the same thing.
Again, I just keep repeating myself. God damn, can you get your corn out of your ears? Get the corn out of your ears. Okay, so we're going to check out Yadira. Yadira, then maybe, well, there's I got some notes on Steve Zorn. So if Steve Zorn has a video, if not, then I'll just entertain you with my collection of notes. Yadira Caraveo. Yadira Caraveo. Vying for a new 8th congressional seat. 54 seconds. I can wait 54 seconds. So she's a pediatrician. She's a House rep.
And we are now less than 100 days, believe it or not, away from the November midterm. and a lot of eyes will be right here in Colorado on the new 8th Congressional District. So on Colorado Point of View this week, I talked with the Democrat who is looking to win that seat. State Representative and pediatrician Dr. Yadira Caraveo is taking on the Republican State Senator Barb Kirkmeyer. National forecasts show Kirkmeyer with a slight advantage, or it could be a toss-up. So I asked Caraveo how she thinks she can win this race.
I intend to go out and talk to the people about everything that I've been hearing in clinic for the last 10 years. Those are the reasons that I decided to run for office in this district. And I think that once we make that connection and talk about how extreme my opponent is, those numbers will be changing.
You can see my full interview with Dr. Caraveo this Sunday morning on Colorado Point of View. It starts at 7:30.
Yeah, so the Democrats in the 3rd Congressional District against Lauren Boebert, they ran a Diane Bush, a right-wing neoliberal, then they ran Diane Bush, a right-wing neoliberal, and now they got Adam Frisch, who I would say is the most conservative out of the 3 candidates who ran. So now we got another right-wing neoliberal, and now it looks like Yadira Caraveo, the way that you want to compete against a bold right-wing agenda, then you have a bold left-wing agenda. But just by saying, well, I'm the common sense person and I'm the moderate, and they're just so extreme. Extremism by itself isn't a bad thing. Extremism by itself Martin Luther King says, it depends on what you're extreme about. Are you extreme about peace, love, and freedom? All you're extreme about, well, you should be an extremist for peace, love, and freedom. You should be an extremist for family, friends, and neighbors. You should be an extremist for virtue and for a civil society. So it depends on what you're an extremist about. If you're an extremist about evil, well, then that's a little bit different. Now, isn't it? Okay, so let's take another look at, next, Kyle Clark, Yadira Caraveo.
Yadira Caraveo is the first Democrat to announce that she's going to run for Colorado's new 8th Congressional District. It has not been drawn. Preliminary map would show it centered around Adams County, which includes where Caraveo lives in Thornton. Next month, we'll see an updated version of the map, but Caraveo, who's a pediatrician as well as a state lawmaker, isn't waiting for that.
We just, heard last week that Adams County is now a majority-minority district, and we've never had a Latina in Congress from Colorado. We need the voices of people with a science background. In the legislature, whether it's at the state level or in Congress, they make decisions every single day that affect our health. But most of the people serving there don't have a healthcare background.
We'll see if her entry convinces other Democrats to stay clear of a primary. There is one other person in the mix, a Republican unknown, Juliana Gray, also filed paperwork to run for...
All right, that was a long time ago. Long time ago. One more video for Yadira.
I've had the pleasure of calling Colorado home since birth. My parents came to Colorado from Mexico in the 70s in search of a better life. My parents always said to me growing up, anticipate the needs of others and do your job well. The help and advice of my family helped me achieve my dream of being a doctor. I walk these halls every day with the ability to help take care of others and give back to my community. As the only doctor in the General Assembly, I see firsthand the struggles that working families face, about how many jobs they have to work to put food on the table. Sometimes it's hard for them to come into the doctor because they don't have the ability to even pay for gas to come into the office. Their worries about their healthcare being cut. It's these issues that I hear from my patients and their families every single day. It's no secret that our system is broken. After my first session, I realized I had done more in 4 months to help Colorado families than I could have in a lifetime as a pediatrician. I've been able to bring a unique perspective to policy, whether it's paid sick leave to ensure that people don't have to work when they're ill, or looking at the census to make sure that hard-to-count communities, including children, are counted in every single census. I've been able to look at environmental policies, making sure that we're looking at health and safety when we're looking at oil and gas development. As a Latina, I've worked hard to expand access to voting by making sure people can vote in whatever language they're most comfortable in. I also plan to continue working on the affordability of healthcare to make sure that all people can see a doctor when they need to. Alone, we can accomplish little, but community unites us, and together we can do so much more. My name is Yadira Caraveo, and I'm running for re-election in Colorado House District 31.
So that was for the House district. So that was 1 year ago, but basically she, will stand for all those same issues, but now at a national level. She said something about Tabor. There's something here in Spanish. Now, I want to check out Steve Zorn. I took some notes, so hopefully Steve Zorn has some videos. But Richard Ward, I would also like, because Richard Ward's name will actually be on there. Write-in campaign. I've never heard of any write-in campaign ever winning. Ever. Just never. I have never, ever. Let's see. My Life in Barbershop. Steve Zorn, Eye of the Tiger. I don't know who Steve Zorn is. Let's see. The Zorn Large Connection. It's not coming up with any videos. I'll just tell you what Steve Zorn represents. And if that's something you could check out Richard Ward and Tim Long yourself. But you can write in Steve Zorn. Steve Zorn actually graduated from the University of Louisville. What's up? Got a bachelor's degree there. He says his religion is pagan. He's a small business owner. And when it comes to the policies, here's all the policies that Steve Zorn believes in. Steve Zorn wants to end all the wars. Steve Zorn wants to end all the wars. He wants to protect patent law. He wants to make sure people can opt out of massive government data collection. He wants to end the for-profit system in healthcare. He's pro-universal healthcare. He wants to end the cycle of violence in our society. The military and prison industrial complexes. He wants to take on the military industrial prison industrial complexes. He wants to protect whistleblowers such as Gary Webb and Julian Assange, and he wants to stop the genocide in Palestine and Yemen. So, you want to win the 8th Colorado district, you got to talk about national issues, right? So what are the national issues? You got gay marriage, you got abortion, you got, whatever else, domestic spending, poverty, homelessness. There's a lot of, but when it comes to war, when it comes to foreign policy, stopping the genocide in Palestine and Yemen, we're spending lots of money to make sure that people are dying. How does that doesn't help us at all. People are dying. We're spending money. It's a bad business decision. People are getting more and more pissed off at us. People don't just blame America for the fuck of it. Sometimes America is behind it. The genocide in Yemen, the occupation in Palestine, that's because of America. So we should pull back. We shouldn't. So my electoral strategy basically is think about Richard Ward. Think about Steve Zorn, Tim Long. You'll probably end up with the Democrat Yadira Caraveo. But when you think about all these positions, when you seriously think about Richard Ward, Steve Zorn, Tim Long, Barbara Kirkmeyer, Yadira Caraveo, if I'm Yadira Caraveo, then I want to have a fair debate. I want, everybody to come up to the thing, and I want it all to be fair. Everybody has a voice, and, people make their choices. So, yeah, I like that. When people look at all the candidates, I think ultimately you want the best candidate who could do the best job. It doesn't matter if they're a libertarian, it doesn't matter if they're an independent, it doesn't matter if they're a green or a Democrat or a Republican. Vote for the one who can do the job the best. And none of these elections have ranked choice voting, which is unfortunate because you got 5 candidates, so you could have ranked them, and then it would have been a much better election. So, Colorado is really kind of missing the curve. We were ahead of the curve for a while. Now we're kind of falling behind the curve. But that's Steve Zorn. So if you like Steve Zorn, vote for him. If you want the safe Democrat Yadira Caraveo. But if you're a right-winger, you probably want that Barbara Kirkmeyer. Richard Ward, I don't know how, libertarian he's going to be. But even if he has a bold libertarian agenda, that Barbara Kirkmeyer seems like she's your perfect blend of libertarian and Republican who could actually win. Richard Ward, even if he has just the most radical libertarian agenda ever, I don't think he's going to win. I think it's between Yadira and Barbara Kirkmeyer. Unfortunately, Diverger's rule is going to rule the day in the 8th Congressional District.